Naturally, I'm a Tottenham man, obviously. I can reflect back to being a player with and manager of some of the finest players that have ever been in the game.
The place is fantastic, the tradition of this club.
To be the manager of 3 cup-winning teams here, I'm so lucky, it's untrue.
Hotspur America podcast, airing every week during the English Premier League season.
What a glory, glory night at White Hart Lane. This great and historic football club. Joyful night down the Tottenham High Road.
Hotspur America, the original US-based podcast dedicated solely to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
Gascoigne going to have a crack? He is, you know. Oh, I say! Schoolboy's own stuff.
I hate Arsenal, just hate them.
Oh, what a goal! Unbelievable! Oh, this is incredible.
We're the Yids in America.
This is there to tap in. What a fantastic run. He scored! And it's turned home, Eric Dyer.
This is your Hotspur America. Episode 10 of the Hotspur America podcast, and welcome back on the heels of a spirited draw where we claim yet again another point. Probably should have had 3. I think we outplayed Liverpool yesterday, but unbeaten in all but one of our Premier League games this season. Moving up in the table, started off pretty bad, but after we got things unraveled a little bit with Pochettino and the new players, things are really looking good. I love the defense right now, by the way. And we have guests with us today. Simon and Sam are also here. Simon, how you doing?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm
good to have you back.
Thank you. World traveler, New York and back. Sammy, how you doing, Sam?
Good morning.
Thank you.
Welcome
Appreciate
back,
it.
pal.
And as mentioned, we do have guests. Firstly, both are from the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust, and we are going to touch on that in full force here coming up. Martin Cloak, writer, journo there in the United Kingdom, is joining us today. Martin, welcome back, and thank you for joining us.
Hi there, thanks for asking us. Good to be back.
Good. Katrina Law, also with us, and Katrina has been on the board of the trust for quite a while now, right? And has a pretty profound voice in what's going on. Attends regularly all of the Supporters Trust meeting and events, and we love talking to her. And Katrina Law, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you. Have I just got a profound voice generally? Or
yes, you do
am I
have.
meant to say profound things?
I was wondering where that would go.
Let's start as you mean to go.
That's why I said that. Let's First and foremost, it's been a busy month for the Trust. Been very busy, particularly the last 30 days. We're pleased to have both of you on today. A lot of deep discussion, club issues, and issues also facing the supporters' interests, being well represented by you both, as well as the rest of the Trust. On September 29th, the Trust had a board-to-board meeting with the club. And I say board-to-board, but it was mainly with Donna Marie Cullen and Mr. Levy himself. A few weeks later, the Trust conducted a quarterly meeting with its members, recapping a prior board-to-board meeting and discussing other items. Before we dive into that, we want to talk about what the Trust has been up to. Katrina or Martin, can you take a few minutes to reintroduce us to the Trust, what makes up the Trust, for those who may not know, and its mission in general?
Yeah, sure. So a trust is a formal democratic organisation that's run by fans for fans. So basically our core aim is to strengthen the ties and the dialogue between fans and the club, and also the community that it serves. So that's kind of our mission statement. So we represent currently around about 11,000 members, both in the UK and overseas. We have a structured dialogue with the club, or that's what we aim to do. So that means that we talk with them on a daily basis. We meet with, as you said, their board 3 or 4 times a year, and we kind of push on anything that around supporters' rights. So if that's ticket pricing, or that's safe standing, or that kind of thing. Basically anything that would affect you as a fan on your match day experience. Martin, do you want to elaborate?
That's pretty much it. I mean, we're Spurs is not the only club that's got a supporters trust. There's a wide network of supporters trusts across England, Wales, and Scotland. So lots and lots of different bodies working with various degrees of success and connection to their clubs. But there is a kind of a wider supporters movement, and the kind of the experience that movement's got is pooled, and we kind of tap into that sometimes to help out on some of our campaigning initiatives. So for example, there is a national campaign going on in the UK called 20 is Plenty, which is about reducing the price of away tickets to £20 for away fans, and that's something that's been worked on by the Football Supporters Federation, who we work with very closely. We also work with a body called Supporters Direct, which tends to deal with issues around governance and sort of the kind of technicalities of running the game. So that sounds kind of a bit dry and bureaucratic, but that's part of what we do as well. So we're part of a national movement which has been around for about 15 years now, as well as just having our connections and our work that we do at the club.
Okay. So September 29th, you guys had the last meeting. How often are you able to meet with the club? Is it a once a month thing? Is it a quarterly thing? How does that work? And with the last one,
3 times a year.
3 times a year. And this past one, who all was able to attend from both sides?
Let me just clarify. We meet with Donna Cullen and Daniel Levy 3 to 4 times a year. We meet with the club, and that may include Donna or other representatives far more regularly than that.
Oh, yeah.
But they're like the set piece meetings that happen 3 times a year.
Understood.
So on the board of Tottenham Hotspur, you have Daniel Levy, chairman, Donna Cullen, executive director, and Matthew Collicott, finance director. So 2/3 of that board are always present at our board-to-board meetings. From a trust point of view, we have 9 members on our trust board, which can be a bit unwieldy to take all 9 in. So we'll look at the topics that we're going to be discussing. We'll look at the work streams that have been going on over the past 3 or 4 months on the trust board, and we'll take in the people who have the most to contribute at that stage to the areas that are coming up, and also the people who are available. It's unlikely you'll get the 9 people who are all free on one night to go to a meeting.
Right.
So I think we took 6 in with us this time,
Yeah.
and there were five representatives from Tottenham. So alongside Donna and Daniel, there was Jonathan Waite, who is the head of supporter services. So he's kind of a conduit between the club and the fans. He's our supporter liaison officer. Ian Murphy, who's head of ticketing and membership, and Sue Tilling, who's safety officer, who is doing a fantastic amount of work with us at the moment, and I'm sure we'll touch on that later.
Yeah, we all met Jonathan, if you remember, guys, when we were over. He's the one who took us pitch side for the last home game.
Yes.
Oh, that is, I remember him. He was such a wonderful person.
Yeah.
I mean, very friendly.
Top bloke.
Really nice guy.
Yeah, and I know, Kat, you and I have had the discussion about Daniel and his relationship with the trust, and even just that he is a personable person. But I want to just reiterate, all in all, how you would describe the relationship with the board, particularly with Daniel and Donna.
I'll start on this, and then Martin can jump in. I think we've come an awful long way, and it's something that I'm actually quite proud of. I'm the longest-serving board member now. I've been on the board. It's coming up to 3 years in February, so it's actually not that long. We had a complete revamp, a complete relaunch, and virtually every member of that trust board changed, which it needed to, in my opinion. So we set off on a direction that I think we've fairly much stuck to. It's fair to say that initially Daniel was quite sceptical of contact and dialogue with any supporters, really, especially a supporters organisation that could be seen as a nuisance, an irritant, a menace, that kind of thing. So he was kind of closed. We had a couple of meetings with just Donna without him being present when we first relaunched.
Mm-hmm.
And then he engaged, he got on board. And I would say the last meeting that we had, the level of discussion and the level of detail that we were able to talk about during that meeting was the best and the most in-depth that we've ever had. So we're kind of on a level with him now, which is a massive achievement for a bunch of volunteers, to be utterly honest. So I think he understands, even though he probably doesn't like talking to us, he understands the need to have, fan consultation and fan engagement as we move into this pivotal period of our relationship with the club, with the new stadium and everything.
Yeah, and a lot of people need to understand, especially younger fans, that Daniel was a fan.
Completely.
Before he became chairman. So it really bodes to the fact that he remembers where he comes from a little bit. Yes, it is a business. All professional sports teams are a business. People hate to admit that, but that is true. And so based on that, as a trust especially, and I know that each and every one of you prepared diligently before going into these things, and you're so well versed in the issues, sometimes more so than the club themselves, but is there a sense of nervousness or pressure when you walk into that environment, or is it now just like old hat, sitting around the table with everybody?
Of course there is. I mean, you are representing thousands of fans. You have got the opportunity to put their voice over, and you have to make sure that you articulate that. And I'm not going to lie to you and say it isn't an intimidating atmosphere. You've got Daniel Levy there, who, the chairman of your club. a hugely successful businessman. At the end of the day, we might all be Spurs fans, but what the owners of the club want and what the fans want are not necessarily aligned. So you've got to go in there and you've got to go into bat. So, it is it's a bit of a pressure cooker. Martin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's about right. And I mean, I think just going back to what you were talking about with the sort of the revamping of the trust, and I've been on the board for less time than Kat, but not to blow smoke up the backsides. But I think Kat deserves a huge amount of credit, and the people that first got involved in the revamping of the trust for building. And it's kind of sounds horribly bureaucratic, but what we've got is a kind of relationship where there's a structured dialogue now, and I think that what the new approach that the trust has adopted over the last few years is that there is more preparation, and Kat especially is always very keen with her background in Marcoms to make sure that we're looking for key messages. We're demonstrating that we know what we're talking about, so we don't just go in and shoot our mouths off at meetings. That we try and research it, we try and back up what we're saying. If we need to challenge things, we do that as well, and also that we report back, and we tend to do our research, and Kat's very keen. I think she's probably led and she's pushed this in terms of having, as I said, it's a horribly bureaucratic phrase, but we've got good structured dialogue with the club now. So we go in, we try and research what we're doing. We look as if we, well, not just look as if we know what we're talking about. We do know what we're talking about. We report back. We follow questions through. So, our members know what we're talking about. The club knows that we're going to follow things up as well. And they know that they have to engage with us in a fairly structured way. So, I think for most football clubs, the attitude originally was, well, we don't really have to explain ourselves to you, just let us get on with our job. And I think that is starting to change. And I referred earlier to the wider supporters movement. I think that, we've got a long way to go, but we've established now that it is a good idea for clubs to talk to fans. And there are varying degrees of success depending on the subject, really. So I think we have moved a long way forward. Which is a good thing. What's a bad thing about it, I suppose, is the fact that we were so far behind in the first place with that relationship that was there. And the point that was made earlier is true as well. And I think that's sometimes where there is a little bit of a clash if we have a difference of opinion with the club. That we'll say that supporters are permanent, but owners are temporary. And they never necessarily like that, but it's true. They are fans as well. And I think Daniel and Donna, do get what the club is about, and they do want success for it, but. In the end, the interests of the owners are not necessarily going to be the long-term interests of the fans as well. And we see ourselves as making sure. I think at our members' meeting, people were talking about being the conscience of the club as well. But this fact that the fans have always been there and always will be, and we need to make sure that view keeps being put. And if there is an issue where we see that the interests of the owners and the interests of the fans don't line up, then we're going to have to push the fans' interest on that as well. And I don't think the club always likes that, but they know that that's what we're going to do. We've always been very honest about that.
When you're in the meetings, when you talk about the engagement, is it Daniel, Kat? Is there one person on the other side of the table that's generally more engaging, more interested? It seems like what's going on, or is it the group as a whole? Are they pretty much riveted to what's going on? Inside those meetings, or is it dependent on subject matter?
It does depend on subject matter. I mean, Jonathan Waite would be your fallback for a day-to-day daily contact because his role is supporter liaison officer. So his role is to have a dialogue with us.
Okay, that makes sense. That does make sense. Okay, so we're going to talk about. We've kind of wrapped the show around the latest meeting minutes from the trust. So if you're not a member of the trust, if you're a listener to the podcast, we highly encourage you to do so. The social media outlets that are out there, whether it's Twitter or Facebook or even Instagram, it allows you to have a little bit of a voice from behind a computer or your phone screen or whatever, or however it is that you like to communicate. But being a part of this trust gives you a voice. It gives you a vote. It gives you some input to allow these people as they go into these meetings to talk about the subject matter that you're interested in, and if they get enough people on the same page, then they can bring that up to the club, especially if it's deemed something that's necessary. So we're going to talk about the stadium and the Northumberland Development Project, the ground share, ticketing, and we might touch a little bit on the transfer window dealings. Basically, just one question wrapped around that. I know that Simon wanted to talk to a few subjects, so Simon, if you would.
Yeah, I'm going to cover the stadium and the Northumberland Development Project. So good to talk to you guys again. So let's kick off with the general admission area in the South Stand. You mentioned that in the minutes. So can you kind of enlighten everybody on what exactly the plans are for that?
Do you want me to go on this, Martin?
Yeah, you go on that, Kat.